It's loud on your end. It's loud on your end, man. I don't know why.
Now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to, it's not even a week anymore. Wild Card Weekend. The Wild Card edition of Roughing the Passer. As always, my name is DH, and joining me is my co-host, Mr. Newman. How's it going, man?
What's up, man? These weeks, I tell you what, it's flying by. I mean, it just seemed like the season started, and here we are headed to championship weekend next weekend.
I mean, you're not kidding, dude. We started this show I think it was week 4 or week 5.
I think week 5.
Yeah, and I mean, it does not feel like it's been going that long, and it definitely doesn't feel like the playoffs should be here, but they are here, and man, if there's one thing I can say about this opening weekend is these games certainly did not disappoint.
No, everyone, no blowouts. I kind of said, we both kind of said, I didn't really see a game that really was going to be a blowout. I guess you could say the game that really wasn't, even the Philly Seattle game until really the fourth quarter. I mean, it ended in a one score, 17-9 is 8 points. So
yeah,
all games were really less than a score, and all can come down to the last play, and some of them actually did, as we saw. So great first round of games. I'll say this: I think looking at the matchups next week, getting ahead of ourselves. Yeah. I don't think the games are going to be as close, but you never know. That's why they play them.
So. Yeah, that it is. And guys, please call in today and join the show. If you missed our post on social media earlier today, we asked a question that we want to discuss throughout the show. So make sure you call in. And that question is after what happened to the Patriots on Saturday, what is the future of the Patriots dynasty? What's their future after Saturday's loss? So call in, give us your opinion on that, talk to us about that, or if any of the other games you'd like to call up, just click that link, call in. We'd love to have you guys a part of the show and join. But John, we got to get right into some of these games. So I guess we'll start with today, since everything was going on, and the last game to happen today, the last team to punch their ticket, it really seemed to be over as soon as one man went down, and it seems to be a reoccurring theme with him of going down. But Carson Wentz went down, and the Seahawks after that seemed to have their way and took care of the Eagles 17-9.
Yeah, and again, like you said, I'll stick up for Wentz. I mean, he did take a shot to the back of the head from Clowney. So, I mean, it's, obviously he's not trying to get hurt, but he's getting that rep, like you alluded to, of a guy that when it gets to these big games, seems to find a way. I know this is going to sound bad. I don't mean it like that, but he doesn't wind up finishing them for whatever the reason. And once, I hate to say it, watching that game, once he came out and then they announced he pretty much was not coming back. Truthfully, it's kudos to the Eagles D for keeping him in it.
Yeah,
but I kind of knew that they're probably not going to win this game. McCown's 40 years old.
Yeah,
he came out of retirement. There's a play late in that game where a lane literally opened up. Where any other quarterback in this league would have ran for daylight and either got the first down or touchdown. And he had like cement shoes on, like his feet were moving and he wasn't going. It was like cartoon.
Yeah, I know. It was.
And Clowney dragged him down from behind, and that really was apropos for what the difference between a Wentz and McCown is, that mobility and to me, if you're McCown, you got to know that you got to get rid of the ball. I'm not trying to. I'm sure he didn't really expect to play.
No.
But when you're in there, you gotta try to make a play there. You can't just get brought down from behind, and you got to know your own capabilities. And
no, absolutely. And the Wentz stuff bothers me. I've talked a lot on this show about my concerns with him, not only as just a pure quarterback in general, but the injury history is very bothersome. The hit by Clowney, 110% cheap shot, complete bullshit, really.
Yeah.
And pissed me off because I thought that was going to be a really entertaining game. But, we'll touch on that, I'm sure, a little bit later. But on the other side of the ball, I got to give props to somebody who I've loved all week. And guys, if you didn't see my DFS in-game showdown and didn't take that lineup today, I'm sorry. The other game, I'm sorry, but in this game, I had DK and DK Metcalf, someone I've been talking about all year long. Incredible performance today, set an all-time rookie record for most receiving yards by a rookie in their playoff debut. He's starting to run routes. He's starting to actually run polished routes that aren't 5 and outs. And that's the downfall to his game has been the downfall to his game all season long. He seems to be putting that together. He had a hell of a game. Marshawn, obviously, it looks like it's funny. Marshawn can just step right back in. I knew he'd be able to, and really played absolutely phenomenal for someone who's playing really their second meaningful football game in a year. But I thought Seattle looked very good. And I mean, we were just talking about the other day, this was a team that I thought was pretty awful, and did not really deserve to be in the playoffs. I thought they were limping in, but they showed some signs today that they may be a little stronger than at least myself and some other people have been giving them credit for.
Well, I think you nailed it. I mean, they won that game today because the guy you said, DK Metcalf, you take him away, they don't. To me, they don't win that game. And if they're going to get play like that from him every week or close to it, they're going to be a tough out. And their defense, I know that it was mostly against McCown, but the defense still made plays. Clowney's running all over the place. Yeah, that was a cheap hit. I expect you'll get a fine after the fact. That ain't going to make the Eagles feel any better. That doesn't do them any good. But if DK Metcalf can step up and play, and one of my things, I knew he had the talent. I just worried about work ethic and route running, and now he's kind of accomplishing what I didn't think he could, and makes all those people that passed him up in the draft not look so great about that pick now. And maybe that's what he said. He alluded to this himself. He uses that to motivate himself. And maybe the Seattle's got to right now. It looks like they got to steal where they drafted him, and so
it does.
I still again it's funny not to get into next week. I really didn't have. I had Philly in this game. Obviously, that was assuming Wentz would play the whole game.
Right.
And I wasn't a big believer in Seattle, but now they go up against Green Bay, another team that is, to me, overrated. So one of these two teams that I didn't think would be on championship weekend is no doubt going to be there. Someone has to be there out of these two teams, Seattle and Green Bay. And I wouldn't have picked that. I would have picked Minnesota and New Orleans. I did pick Minnesota to cover the spread. I didn't think they'd win, and they went out there and they won that game. And we can, I'll have you start off with that. But.
Yeah, sure. No, absolutely. Let's move on to the other game of the day, and this is the game, guys. I told you if you took my DFS lineup, you were all set. It ended up in my pool out of 6,000, the main pool today on DraftKings, I ended up in 43rd place. So solid lineup all around on that one. I hope you followed suit with that. But it seems these teams meet up every single year in the postseason. I think this is the third year in a row now, and every single time the games are absolutely extraordinary. I didn't think this one was going to be that good. This another team that I've talked about how much I loved all year, Minnesota. Another team I thought was limping into the postseason. Today, they played like a team on a mission. They played like a team that has not even been trying the past month, both on offense and on defense. I mean, if you see 20 points, you say, okay, this was the Saints had a lot of very long possessions that the Vikings were able to put a stop to. Their defense was able to put a real big stop on, and it blew me away. This game shocked me to the core. I had the Saints as one of those teams that I thought would be going on for sure. I thought Minnesota was absolutely out of it after today. This game blew my mind, but Vikings over the Saints 26-20 in overtime.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk Cousins gets the monkey off the back, if you will. Can't win the big game, and he played tremendous. I mean, the pass he threw to Thielen at the end to set him up for the Rudolph touchdown was a dime. I mean, it was the only place you could put it on the run. I mean, you couldn't have walked it over to that spot and placed it any better than he threw it 45 yards down the field. And I'm sure in the back of his mind, he was hearing the whispers and he felt the pressure, and he performed under it. And, they got to me, they're going to San Francisco, and I give them a puncher's chance. There's a lot of people who I actually believe in San Francisco, but there are a lot of people kind of call them paper champions. And those people are probably going to point and say, Minnesota, in their mind, should win this game. I'm not at that point yet, but I think this is going to be a pretty competitive game, and their defense played well as well. Whenever you hold a New Orleans team to 20 points in New Orleans, no less.
In New Orleans,
that's saying something. So right now they got guys coming back from injuries. They're a lot healthier. They were one of my Super Bowl favorites in my previous show, on my own show. And right now they're making me look like I know what I'm talking about. So, that's, the deal, Drew. The NFL, from one week to the next, so many things can change.
I know.
Literally. And, look at the Patriots. All they had to do was beat Miami. They wouldn't even have to play this weekend. They might win next week, and we wouldn't be talking about the potential death of a dynasty. And here we are. We'll get to that. But, I mean, that shows you what a fine line this is in the NFL.
No, absolutely. It's things change so fast. It's mind-blowing to me. Like I said, this Minnesota team is not the Minnesota team that I saw just a couple of weeks ago. But moving on now, I guess we'll go on to Saturday's games. And just like today, it seems those games were just as crazy. We'll start off with the team that I cannot stand talking about. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but the Houston Texans beat the Buffalo Bills 22-19. And of course, after everything that they've done to me all year long, when it comes time to stay away from the Texans, like I said, they finally cover a spread. So congratulations, Houston. At least you won and covered a spread. But shocking game to me right here is Buffalo is a team that I thought this was a team that could make a deep run.
Yeah, and I think they could. The problem is, they got a great talent in Josh Allen, who looks like, I mean, he's their quarterback. They found their quarterback. The problem is, Drew, they have to live and die with Josh Allen. Yeah. When Josh Allen is making plays and running the ball and not turning the ball over, they're hard to beat because that defense is legit. Yeah. Yeah. When the Josh Allen shows up in the second half of the Texans game where he's sloppy, he tries to get one more yard and doesn't go down and gives the ball up. And then the one play, I don't know what the hell he was doing. He tries to pitch the ball back like that. You don't even see that in Pop Warner. Like, what are you doing, man?
I know.
Like he's young. That's the good part of this equation. He's young. That can be coached out of him. But you know what? For as great as he did play in that first half, it's not about one guy doesn't lose a game, but Josh Allen, second half, Josh Allen kind of hurt him, and you could point to where that game, where the momentum shifted, and it was on Josh Allen's sloppy play, and it opened the door for the Texans, and they said thank you, and we're going to walk through it. We're not going to close it back on ourselves. And Deshaun, made that one play where I don't know how he didn't get sacked not only once but twice. And then throws it to Tawan Jones. And this is what kills me, man. I'm a former defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. Why are you playing prevent? Play your normal straight-up defense that got you to that point in the game. They're playing prevent. He throws it to Tawan Jones. There's no defender for the 10 yards, and the guy runs it down to the 10-yard line. Game over. If I'm going to lose, Drew, if I'm going to lose as a defensive guy, I'm going to lose playing beat my straight up defense that you really haven't done much against all game. They played that buffer zone. Deshaun broke free somehow. Maybe that's one of the reasons he was so wide open. Those defenders stopped covering, thinking he was down, which you shouldn't do. Any player, coach knows you play to the whistle. He gets out of that, fires a strike to him, ball game over. And I don't have a second favorite team, being a Steeler guy. But I always say this: if I did, I sort of, when the Steelers aren't involved no more, and it doesn't affect them, I sort of root for the Bills. I have a lot of friends that are Bills fans. I wind up going to a game or two every year, and it looked like, hey, they're going to win the game. And then this happened. So they shot themselves in the foot. If you watch that game, credit to the Texans. They made the plays.
Yeah, they did it.
But the Bills did make some of those plays that could have iced the game. And it cost them. And now they're watching the rest of the playoffs when they could have been headed to Kansas City next week. So,
No, 100%. Guys, like I said, comment, call in any of the games you'd like to talk about. Sometimes on this StreamYard, the comments don't show up if you're not watching in the main feed. But call in, let us know if there's any games you'd like to talk about as we go into this fourth game, which is one we'll probably talk quite a bit on. We're going to be going back to all these games and some others here shortly. But the last game of the weekend, and I think the one everyone's talking about, and I love being able to announce this one, a team that you and I both said is a very dangerous team going into the playoffs and can beat any team, not easily, but has the potential to beat any team on any day of the week. The Tennessee Titans finally took down the Evil Empire 20-13 as the Patriots lose in Wild Card Weekend at home. Yeah. So, John, I mean, we've got it, and we've asked the question all week, and this is where I'm hoping we get some callers and some comments here. But the Patriots, okay, obviously we all know. I've been saying it forever this whole year. Tom Brady's not the same quarterback he was, not near. If they fall down from behind, they don't have the capabilities to come back. We've seen a lot of cracks in the whole foundation of this team. So with that being said, you lose to the Titans in Foxborough on Wild Card Weekend. What does happen to the Patriots dynasty and Tom Brady after this loss? Is this a loss that is this going to be known as the tipping point, the turning point where the Patriots that we know and that we've seen for well over a decade now is no more?
I think it's over. I think it's over, Drew. As crazy as that sounds, I think the writing's on the wall. The fact that they were playing in this weekend and they lost at home, the fact that this offense has underproduced, not late in the year, not in the middle of the year, pretty much from week one till their loss this weekend, their offense has underachieved. There's reports that McDaniels is not happy with Belichick for not getting him weapons and replacing guys. Gronk retires. They didn't really adequately replace him. And rumors are that McDaniels is leaving for somewhere, and he's even got a staff already together. So there's going to be multiple. My prediction is there going to be multiple Patriots coaches leaving with McDaniels to coach under him as a head coach somewhere else. It might be in Carolina for
yes,
that matter.
That's what I was about to say. There's a lot of talk right now, man, about him possibly going to Carolina. I don't know. If it was our old regime and our old ownership, I'd say absolutely not. But this new one, I'd say it's a good possibility. But that name interests me. But anyway, continue, my man.
So there's going to be multiple exodus coaching-wise. Brady's gone. He's already said he's not going to give a hometown discount to stay. And let's be real. Think about this. If they wanted him, Drew, if the Patriots wanted Tom Brady, he would not be a free agent right now. Okay? Well, think about that. You don't get to this point, and if you really wanted him. Now, they may want him cheap. I'm not denying that. But they don't want him at what Tom Brady's going to cost them or some other team to sign him. And so
I've got a lot to say on that, but we've actually got a phone caller right now, so we're going to take a call real quick. But I that's shocking what you just said. But it looks like we got a caller on the line right now. I believe it is Mr. Scott Hamby. How's it going, Scott? Thanks for joining, man.
What's up, guys?
Not too much. So so what's going on, man? What's going I know you actually commented on Thursday during the pre-show. You were talking about Derrick Henry too, and we were talking about him. I just posted your comment for people to see. You did call it. You said Henry was going to take it all over, but what do you think about this dynasty and everything? Is this the end?
I really think it is. I think Brady might play another year somewhere else, but I think he could possibly retire too. And Belichick could probably go somewhere else. I'm not sure if he will or if he might retire himself, but I'm just glad it's over with. I'm sick of Patriots. I care less if they win another game or not. I'm just sick of it.
There's a lot of people in that line.
I was about to say, I think you shared that. I think a lot of people share that sentiment. At least a lot of casual fans.
That line is longer than the returns line at Walmart after Christmas. So.
Oh, Jesus.
No doubt. No doubt. I was just glad to see Derrick Henry do what he did. I was betting on him to do that. I figured they would want to shut down the passing game because they was afraid of the long ball to Brown and everything. But I'm just glad to see Derrick Henry keep up what he did this season and show him that he's a true beast.
Yeah. Two things too. I was shocked. Not that Henry's not good. I think he proved himself this year to be the number one back in the NFL. But Belichick is great at taking away someone's strength and negating him and having you. I'm really surprised that Henry went off in the fashion he did. And if you watch that game, he was loading up that box with 7-8 guys.
Yeah.
So hats off to Derrick Henry. He was beating those 7-8 man fronts and still ripping off runs. So I don't think it was Belichick really not trying to stop it, obviously. I think you got to give credit to Derrick Henry to just, go in beast mode to steal a turn from another running back. Yeah. He really was. It just how many times he dragged 3 or 4 guys, at the point of attack, it's 2 yards, but he made a 5, 6, 7, 8 yard gain out of that. And just that took the win. Honestly, you could see the hand, the defenders of Patriots, hands on the hips, heavy breath. It demoralized them, and that was the end. And I'm as someone who's not a big Patriots fan, I enjoyed. I'm not gonna lie about it. Yeah. I enjoyed being on usually the end of those. Being a Steeler guy, I enjoyed seeing someone who usually dishes that out, sort of being on the other end of that stick, so to speak. And it is. I think it is the end for Scott made another great point. No one's talking about this, we don't know if Belichick's he might leave.
Yeah.
So
very true. That's very true, and that's a whole different wrinkle to it. I mean, a lot of things can happen, especially with Belichick, and I think a lot has to do with what happens to Brady. But real quick, Scott, thanks so much for calling in, man. I'm gonna let you go here real fast, but have a good one, and I'm sure I'll talk to you soon. And thanks so much for tuning in, man.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Hey, what's going on, Don? How's it going, my man? But yeah, so like you were just saying, I wanted to, and once again, Scott, thanks so much for calling. See, guys, it's really easy. You just click, call in, whatever you want to talk about. Come in, call in, tell us how full of shit we are. I don't care. Call in and do what you want. I'm sure Don's
I'm not going to bite your head off. I ate dinner,
Yeah.
so I'm already, I'm full. But I think, go ahead, Drew.
I want to go back to something you said before Scott called, because you said you were talking about why Brady's not signed right now. And see, I look at, if it's any other team and it's any other group of people, I kind of agree with you. And I say, well, why is it taking this long? This is ridiculous. I kind of think when you're looking at this team and the relationship that these two have, Brady, Belichick, and you can even bring Kraft into it when he's not in a massage parlor. When these guys are actually, their relationship's a little different. I don't think that the timeline matters that much, because I think, for one, it costs them nothing. It does them no good. I mean, they're not going to change anything with this contract by signing him early. The Patriots really don't do too much in the middle of the year like that. They have a process of how they sign these people, a process of how they do things. And I think they really were planning on winning a Super Bowl this year, and Brady probably riding off into the sunset. So they probably didn't look twice at that contract. Now, I could easily see them. I know he said he's not going to take any more discounts, but the Patriots can set up a contract that's more incentive based. Now, I don't know if he'd be willing to do that, but they can make the incentives that, I mean, if he's going to be any quarterback that he's capable of being, he can easily reach to kind of offset some of that stuff. There's things that they could do to make the contract work and not really hurt this team. The problem with that is they need to add so many other parts to this team that I don't know if they'll have enough money. So I'm really conflicted on what I think the Patriots are going to do, but I honestly could see him retiring before I could see him playing for another team.
No. Here's the thing. You got to look at track when you get into these long 17-year, 18-year relationships between a player and one team. You got to look at track record.
Of course.
And the track record has always been, they've always had the next deal done before the original deal is expired.
Yeah.
And here they don't. And
right.
I'm not arguing with you unless you want to consider that. But that was not by accident. That was not, like you said, we're going to win. You'll retire with your 7th ring. Belichick maybe will think about retiring. We'll reload and we'll get younger. I don't think that was – I mean, I'm sure that was what – if it was a Disney movie, that would be great. But I don't think they were at – I think, teams know from within where they kind of rank. Sometimes Sometimes you overgrade yourself. Sometimes you even probably undergrade yourself.
Yeah.
I think the Patriots have been doing this long enough. Belichick's good at what he does.
Yeah.
Brady's very good at what he does. They knew this year they probably weren't going to be the favorites. Did they think they'd have this tough of a road to hoe? Probably not that tough. But
when you say that, it makes me think that they knew this dynasty was over no matter what at the end of this year.
And I think they knew this was it. I think they were hoping it would be a happy ending rather than the star dying at the end of the movie. You know what I mean? I thought they wanted the happy ending movie. They didn't get that. Brady's going to be somewhere else next year. He's already said he's really probably not retiring. He's also said to New England, I'm not giving you any more discounts. So they're going to have to back up to Brinks truck. They're not going to do that. I don't think they want to do that. It just everything sets up. You got to remember, even if Brady came back, Drew, He's going to have to work under a brand new offensive coordinator, start over. He ain't going to want to do that at 43 years old. If he's going to do that, he's going to go somewhere probably closer to home. His parents are not very young anymore. I know they've even had some health issues. I'll even call. I don't even want to tell you that he's leaving. I'm going to tell you where he plays. He's going to be wherever city they're in next year. A Charger, or is it Los Angeles? Yeah. He's going to be an LA Charger. What it does for them, they'll pay him. It lets them to break free of Phillip Rivers, which they want to do. It makes that divorce a lot smoother. It's a lot easier to say, hey, we dumped Phillip Rivers to get the GOAT. We didn't dump Phillip Rivers to get Teddy Bridgewater, who looked good in 3 to 4 games.
Right.
We got the GOAT. They're going to sell tickets, which has been an issue for them because most of their home games have been road games because all the other teams' fans are packing the stadium.
Right.
Now they'll sell their own tickets with Tom Brady, Charger quarterback. Well, as far as what Belichick does, I think he stays there, probably for another year or two. And I think Belichick and Brady hang them up around the same time. They'll just be in 2 different cities when they do it.
All right, well, you say a couple interesting things. You're kind of convincing me on Brady not being in New England.
He's gone. He's gone. If he was going to stay there, they would have that deal done.
But see, this is my issue. All right, Brady, you said the Chargers, which makes sense because it's LA, and that's the only reason it makes sense to me because this is what I'm looking at from Brady. This is a smart dude. Obviously, he knows he can still play football, but I also think he knows damn well he's not the quarterback he once was. And so if I'm looking at Tom Brady leaving, I'm looking at him saying, if I'm going anywhere, it's going to be to a team where you plug me in and we're instantly Super Bowl contenders. I don't see that with the Chargers. Now, Brady of 5-6 years ago, absolutely. You throw him in and he almost transforms any team, at least offensively. But I kind of look at it as, does Brady want to go to a team where he's going to be a 2 or 3 year rebuilding process before they even sniff having a shot of getting to a championship game? I mean, I don't see that. I just don't see him wanting to go through all that. Now, maybe he does, and maybe he really wants to play to 45, and that does, but I just don't see him wanting to go somewhere like that. And that's where I see the biggest issue with, going to these teams. And that's why the only teams that really make a lot of sense to me, and which honestly, you want to talk about Disney movies, this is the perfect Disney movie. You put him on the Titans, and that's a team that's a Super Bowl contender.
Well, who's to say that you're not right and I'm wrong? I just guessed the Chargers.
No.
All I'm telling you is 2 things with 100% certainty, or 99.9. You can't go 100.
Yeah.
Brady's going to be somewhere else, and McDaniels is leaving too. And they both have probably even had a conversation, Drew. I'm talking about McDaniels and Brady. And said, listen, Brady's probably telling them, listen, you got to do what you got to do. I'm probably not coming back either way, and especially if you leave. And McDaniels probably told Brady, this is the year I'm actually going to go and get off the boat. And I think they both know this. I think they're keeping their cards close to their chest, but I think they're both going. McDaniels is going to take other Patriot coaches, it's been reported. So there's going to be a mass exodus on Belichick's staff. And Brady's going too somewhere else. I predict the Chargers. It could be the Titans, like you said. And I'm going to disagree with you on one thing. I don't think the Chargers are Super Bowl contenders, but I think they got pieces in place.
They do.
If you want to blame the coaches who suck, but you got a back in Austin Eckler who's better than James White. He can catch the ball.
No, they've got pieces. They got
Keenan Allen. They got other receivers. They got pieces on defense with Derwin James and Joey Bosa and the other pass rusher, Ingram. So they're not far. I know their record wasn't great, but I don't think they're far off as. And let's be honest with you, it's the Brady effect. If Brady went to Los Angeles Chargers, you don't think that locker room's going to be instantly energized?
I agree with you, and I know they have the weapons. They do. I like the Chargers. I'm just saying, in the AFC, if I'm Brady and I look at the way I played this year, my thought process, the only thing I'm looking at is my thought process is I want to, if I'm going to sign a contract with a team, it's going to team where I don't have a doubt now, and not a team where, yeah, we've got some nice pieces, but we've also got some massive holes.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if he's going to have that sort of luxury anymore. He's going to go to a team where he thinks to himself, by me going there, we're going to win more games.
Right.
What were they? 6-10?
Yeah.
Brady's going to say, if I go to Los Angeles, I'm going to throw 40 less interceptions than Philip Rivers did, and so that 6-10 is going to be 10-6.
Yeah.
With me. That gets us to the playoffs. That now he goes there, right?
Yeah.
That instantly makes that a free agent destination all of a sudden.
Right.
People are going to want to go there. I mean, not that you want them, but Antonio Brown's on social media. I'll play. I'm only playing where Tom Brady goes.
Yeah.
So now that's a bad example, but there are other players in this. There are other free agents in this league that if Tom Brady went to the LA Chargers, the LA Chargers might not have been on their list prior to that move. But after that move, now they're on that list. And so that can lead in other players. I think it energizes that locker room. You got a group of guys there that knew every game that Philip Rivers was going to throw 3 costly picks. And we were going to have to win despite that. And now
absolutely.
Now you don't have that dark cloud before the game even start. So
no, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And it could be it's an interesting thought and an interesting destination for him. I'm going to be really curious to hear what his thought process is and what he really values, because where he goes and how he handles this is going to show a lot of how long he feels he's going to keep playing, and B, what he truly values. But I do think the allure of being that legend in one uniform, the Jeter effect, things like that, can be quite strong to a lot of people. So I don't know if that's going to be something with him, but it's going to be interesting to see. But we've talked about McDaniels. You talked about McDaniels leaving. I think he's gone 100%. We talked about Brady. We think he's going to be going. And before we get on and cover some of these other games in the games next week, there's one other person we haven't talked much about yet in this dynasty, and that's the hoodie man himself, Bill Belichick. Do you think he stays, or is he kind of looking at this as, it was a good run. Sorry, I'll do it in his voice, but it was great, and we'll just move on, and I'll retire and go home and sit with my wife. Like, what's happening?
Want me to answer that? Like,
no, because we'll lose everybody.
We just got done. We just got off the field. Come on.
Yeah, I know.
No, honestly, I think it's gonna. You know what? I think he stays. If gun to head and had to say yes or no right now, I'll say he stays. But I will say this: I have a feeling when Brady leaves and McDaniels leaves, this is going to happen sooner than people think.
Yeah.
This is not going to be drawn out and delayed, especially in McDaniels' case, because he's going to be interviewing now that their season's over. And you think there's more than one team hot on McDaniels' tail. You think if that's your guy and that's your target for head coach, you want to pull that trigger before someone else beats you to the punch. So he's going to get a job rather quickly here once these interviews are conducted. And so he's going to be gone quick. And I wouldn't be shocked if before the end of February, it's very apparent that Brady has another team that he's going to. And if that happens early, like I think it will, that's where I think Belichick could pull the same maneuver. It's different sense. But if you remember years ago when he was the Jets head coach for about 3 hours, and he wrote on a piece of paper or handkerchief, "I'm resigning." I wouldn't be surprised if they left rather quickly, if he turns in his resignation. If you read some of these reports, him and Kraft are not buddies anymore.
Right. No.
Blooms off the rose. The whole Jimmy G, issue.
Okay, so he goes. All right. So now we're saying, let's say he goes and everything. I mean, there's a couple of possibilities. What's up, Mason? Thanks for joining the show, man. Definitely feel free to call in if you'd like and talk about any of the games this weekend. But you mentioned where's he gonna go? Well, there's quite a few openings. We got one in Carolina that ain't happening, but there are quite a few openings. One of them down in Dallas, and I kind of want to move on from the Patriots a little bit because there was some interesting news, obviously, and and as you can see by my little logo right here, coming in the summer of 2020, Kicking and Screaming Part 2, starring Jason Garrett, as Jason Garrett is gone in Dallas, but had quite the interesting exit if you listen to the reports. Kicking and screaming, as I said, his way out of there. What do you think? Belichick possibly going there, or is that pretty much? I
don't see that. I'm not saying no.
It was a joke.
But think of that, Belichick and Jerry Jones.
I know. That's what it is.
Jerry Jones is the anti-Kraft.
I know.
So that isn't going to work. I do have an exclusive picture of them removing Jason Garrett from the Dallas headquarters. So
now, is this part of Kicking and Screaming too that they're filming?
Yeah. Watch.
Okay.
Watch.
Yep. See, Kicking and Screaming. See, he's getting dragged up by security. Yep.
So that was Jason Garrett.
There he is.
Earlier this afternoon. He did not want to leave, so they had to forcefully remove him from Dallas headquarters.
There's no better way for this stupid ass saga to end than that dumbass who's been pampered like a spoiled little son to go kicking and screaming and crying like a baby out of here. But anyway, I just wanted to touch on that for a minute. But Mr. Newman, before we move on to looking at next week's matchups, it's time for one very fun segment. And you know what segment I'm talking about. That, of course, is Shit Whip of the Week. And, I
have no idea what this clip is.
You have no idea what this clip is? Okay. Well, honestly, it's a short one, and honestly, there weren't too many to choose from. The DK Metcalf block was the runner-up, but I mean, all he did was it wasn't really a hit. He just barreled over him. So it was kind of tough to find one this week. But Shit Whip of the Week has to go to really this absolute and complete and total bullshit hit. I mean, first of all, that hurts like hell. Clowney just absolutely drilling Wentz.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't seen it,
you could see he was giving up. He was going down.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure there'll be a fine from the NFL. That ain't gonna make the Eagles feel any better about the situation. And
no,
it's another year where, Wentz injury, they have to rely on the backup, and no Nick Foles magic in McCown today.
No Big Dick Nick on the sidelines for those guys this year. So a little tough for him. I know a lot of people out there were sitting there saying, man, if only Big Dick Nick was here, we'd be good to go. But he wasn't there for you guys. So, that's our Shit Whip of the week. Unfortunately, it led to an injury. Hopefully it's not too serious. But all right, John, so wildcard weekend is over, obviously. So now we're moving on to our matchups the next couple of weeks. And taking a look at it right here. Let me zoom in on some of these matchups. So you've got Tennessee and Baltimore. You've got Houston and Kansas City, Seattle and Green Bay, and Minnesota and San Francisco. So right away, let's start out with what game you're looking forward to the most. What game interests you the most?
Wow. You know what? I gotta say the NFC side. Both of those games, I think, are going to be interesting. I think that Seattle Green Bay is going to be a low scoring. I think it's going to be similar to this Seattle Philadelphia game from today. I see that Seattle Green Bay being a very low scoring game. Whoever makes a mistake might cost them the game. Minnesota and San Francisco. I think that game is going to be close as well. I think that may be a low scoring affair as well. Those two games to me are going to be more competitive than the AFC ones. And if you go to the AFC ones, the interesting one on that side is going to be that Tennessee Baltimore game. Because how's Baltimore is going to get the same dose of Derrick Henry that the Patriots did. The Patriots couldn't stop it. I'll be honest with you. I think the Patriots defense is better than the Baltimore's defense. Now, Baltimore's offense is light years ahead of New England, so that might be the difference maker, obviously, with Lamar Jackson. But that game might be closer than probably the initial point spread when it comes out indicates. And I said on my own personal Facebook page today, if you're betting next week, take the Chiefs big and the over. I think the Texans are going to get run out of the gym. You know, they celebrated that Bills game, that Bills win, like they won everything already.
All right, well, you might want to jump on it soon then, because they got them at 9.5 now, and that over under is at 49. They are expecting that game to be insanely high.
No, take the over and Kansas City. I think it seems like every playoffs you get that one blowout where a team just gaffs up the game and the other team just runs them out of the gym. This is the game I'm pointing to. I think the Texans looked way too happy, like they were very accomplished with how their season went already. Like it doesn't matter anymore. And they go as far as Deshaun Watson takes them. He's a very good quarterback, but he has shown games where he sort of doesn't really light the house on
every single one I picked him on this year.
Yeah. And Kansas City's defense is not the Kansas City defense of the past. These guys can play this year. Yeah. So I'm calling it right now. This game's a 2 or 3 score win by Kansas City. Mm-hmm. Take the over, take the point spread, count your money, and Kansas City is on to championship weekend.
Well, we'll be talking about that one a lot more on Thursday, but I think I know I guess I don't need to ask you about your opinions on that game. But when we're looking at these games, we're down to our Elite 8, but I'm looking at the NFC side, and you've got the Vikings, the 6th seed, jumping in there, which that's a ridiculously strong 6th seed. You've got San Francisco, obviously the 1. You've got Seattle as a 5, and you've got Green Bay as a 2. But I'm looking here right now, and after watching all these teams play, after watching all of Wild Card Weekend, Minnesota is one of those teams that surprised me the most. And I've said it a million times on this show. I think they have from 1 to 53 the best roster in the league. When you go to backups and everything, I think they're the most complete team top to bottom. After what you saw today, they've got the matchup against the 49ers. Jimmy G, let's face it, unproven. 49ers have been great, but not a lot of experience in the postseason. A lot of, in my opinion, at least, question mark with that team. So looking at it now, is Minnesota a true threat in the NFC now to make it to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, and I'll say this: if you looked at this game 2-3 weeks ago, you'd pick San Francisco easily.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say that anymore. I think they're the favorite in this game, but they have to play mistake free, and Jimmy G's had tendencies to not do that. If San Francisco doesn't play great, their receivers aren't, San Francisco is more of a defensive type team. They're after Emmanuel Sanders, who's an aging vet, are young and inexperienced. Debo Samuel, Dante Pettis, they don't scare me. And Minnesota's defense is not as far behind San Francisco's as people think.
Yeah.
And I like Minnesota's offense better. I take Dalvin Cook over any of those three running backs San Francisco uses. And
see, you said it right there to me. You said it right there to me. This is the playoffs. This is when a strong running game is what you have to be able to set that tone for the rest of the game. And that's what I think Minnesota's got more than anything. And that's what I think San Francisco does not have. I mean, let's face it, they don't.
I'll say this. Here's how I'm looking at the NFC.
Yeah.
Whoever wins this Minnesota San Fran game is your Super Bowl representative from the NFC. Because I see both of these teams either beating Seattle or Green Bay as they're constituted today. So I think this Minnesota San Fran game is the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the de facto NFC Championship game. Yep. It would be a shocker to me if either one of those teams, Seattle or Green Bay, could get past them.
Yeah, I agree. And so I think this is the AFC's year. I'm leaning towards this is the year that Andy Reid, talking about getting monkeys off our backs, what Kirk Cousins just did this week. I think this might be the year Andy Reid throws his gorilla off his back and he gets his first Super Bowl championship. And so I'm gonna I know we're not there yet, but I think Kansas City is the leader in the clubhouse to get this done.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. We'll switch over to the AFC real quick. You've got Tennessee and Baltimore. You've got Houston and Kansas City. Two surprising games if there ever was any, but with the Patriots out of it now. Are we destined for a Mahomes-Jackson AFC title game?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It's what I called chalk on the AFC before the playoffs started. I'm not going to change my mind now. I think Tennessee is going to make that Baltimore game very interesting. And I don't root for injuries, but man, if Baltimore if Lamar Jackson gets hurt or something like that, that'll be the end for them. Very similar to what happened today with Wentz. You could probably say that about a lot of teams. That's not really going out on a limb. But you got to remember, these running quarterbacks, that's the chance you take. Josh Allen gets hurt. Carson Wentz, another running quarterback, gets hurt. Lamar Jackson's been fortunate enough. He hasn't been hurt significantly yet. Patrick Mahomes, not really a big runner, but he moves quite a bit around in the. He's been hurt scrambling around. So these mobile quarterbacks, that's the trade-off you make with them. So I think Kansas City wins their game over the Texans in a cakewalk. I think Tennessee, Baltimore is probably a really tough game for 2 to 3 quarters, and then I probably see Lamar Jackson making a crazy play, and Baltimore escapes out of there with a win. And Tennessee,
I think I'm pretty much right there with you. At least right now, I'm going to look into it a little more. And Thursday, who knows? I might change my mind a little bit. But we'll be dealing with those a little bit more Thursday. But before we wrap it up, man, we got to get to our segment. That's a recurring one nowadays. Game balls and goats, man. So after this weekend's game, obviously, since there was only 4 of them as opposed to our normal slate of 12 or 13, we'll just go on and give out one apiece. So who you giving your game ball of the weekend to?
Well, I'll give you a little credit, man. You called it, and this guy played lights out today. I already said it. I think they won their game because of him. DK Metcalf came out, shined out, and won. You're talking about a 1-score game. 17-9 is a 1-score game with a 2-point conversion. He made crazy good plays. He looked like a veteran, didn't look like a rookie. And he was the difference, whether to me Seattle is playing next week or not. And so to me, that was sort of easy. My goats, I think you got to go Oh man, I hate to say it. I'm gonna pick. I'm two quarterbacks. Josh Allen, and Tom Brady. Tom Brady, no touchdowns. In his mind, he's probably thinking that's the last game he might play in Foxborough. And if you read everyone that picked the Patriots, everyone, if you watch all the shows, whether it be NFL Network or NBC or CBS, all the talking heads, they picked the games. 80% picked the Patriots, and they all and 90% of those 80% of them said the reason they picked the Patriots is Tom Brady is going to will that team to victory, and he didn't. And his line was very pedestrian. I watched that whole game. His passes were not great. He throws the pick six at the end. It really didn't matter anymore, but he still threw it, and he did not look good. He was not comfortable in the pocket. He barely eclipsed the 200-yard mark. I think he had 203 yards, no touchdowns. So I'm going to go. We call him a GOAT on other fronts. I'm going to give him the GOAT that we talk about on this show, the not so good GOAT. He gets plenty of accolades. He's gonna you gotta be a good loser as well as a good winner. So my GOAT's going to Tom Brady.
Yeah, nice. I like it. And all right, well, my game ball's got to go with one man, and that's the man that took down those Patriots, and that's Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, and I struggled because I wanted to give it to Dalvin Cook too because he played lights out. But you can't not give it to him. Derrick Henry, we already talked about it. His yards after contact were ridiculous. Insane. I don't have him in front of me, but watch any highlight of any good run. It was 8 yards after contact repeatedly. I mean, he was phenomenal, and he's a big reason that they are in the playoffs to begin with. They're a huge reason they're in the second round, and they're going to be a big reason if they go any farther or if they lose. And so my game ball's got to go to him 100%. And when I'm looking at GOATs, oh boy, my GOATs. This was a tough one for me. Really didn't. It was a lot to look at, but I gotta kind of go with you. I gotta go with New England. I gotta go in the same game. I mean, I've been preaching for weeks how weak I thought they were, but this is not a team that I thought was weak enough to go one and done. When you're a 3 seed, not hampered by injuries, at home in the playoffs, in an atmosphere and weather that favors the home team. And, oh, yeah, you've got Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and you're the fucking Patriots. And you can't get out of wild card weekend. I'm sorry, but that's just a total disgrace. That falls on the team. That falls on coaching. That falls on everything. So I'll just go on, and you can call him the GOAT, the greatest of all time for the decade. But this week, that whole team's an absolute GOAT. I mean, this was an organizational failure from top to bottom.
Yeah. How about Mike Vrabel using Bill Belichick's strategy against him with the delay of games to run out to knock about a minute and 40 seconds? That was genius. And I love they showed Belichick and it was pissing him off. Yeah, he would do the same thing. He didn't like it when it was done to him, but he would have done it in a heartbeat.
The roles
were reversed. So he got a little humble pie, a little dose of his own medicine. And I got to say something. Good call with Derrick Henry because I got to say I've watched a lot of football, Drew, in 47 years of life, and New England had that box stacked to stop him. And he did what he did against those fronts. I got to say, I've never seen a back with a defense really designed to shut him down do that kind of damage consistently. And you could see, like I said earlier in the show, it took the wind right out of that team. Not only the defense, but if you looked on the sideline when they showed shots of Brady or even McDaniels on the sideline, you could see the look on their face. There was concern. Usually you see shots on that Patriots sideline, and their smiles and they're walking up and down, feeling pretty good. Yeah. This was a different, like you just said, this was a different Patriots team this year. This was a different Patriots team in this game. And I think this is all why I said this is the end. You can't fall this far off the mantle and climb back on it that quick.
Yeah, it was very odd to me, and that's why the whole team is getting my GOAT this week, because it, like I said, you can't do that from top to bottom with like all the advantages I said at the beginning. There's just too much in your favor to not get out of wild card weekend. You've got to be able to do it. It was mind blowing to me that they couldn't, and I mean it makes me happy, but it's absolutely shocking to me. But before we wrap everything up today, we've actually got a question here from Scott, who called in earlier. Actually has a question for us, and something that's actually a pretty interesting one, John. With the Saints, we'll go back to the Saints-Minnesota game today. We haven't talked much about the Saints, but this is a team that can't seem to really get over the hump anymore. They seem to make it to the playoffs every year, have that same little streak in them, and then they're gone. I haven't looked into too much of the reports on Sean Payton on how safe his job is, but if he does leave, if he does actually leave, could Sean Payton possibly be the Cowboys' replacement as head coach? Or could the Panthers possibly get him, as Scott says, which hell no, I don't think he goes to the Panthers, Scott. But
me.
And it looks like we just lost my main man, John. So anyway, guys, while we're waiting for Mr. Newman to jump in, I'll actually answer that, Scott. I don't think Sean Payton's going 100%. I think Sean Payton is. For one, I don't think he leaves New Orleans. I think he's pretty much got that wrapped up. I think he's going to stay there until he wants to go. He's kind of part of that Drew Brees thing where with the Hurricane Katrina and all that stuff, they're ingrained in that New Orleans culture in that city so much. They've done so much more than football for that city. They're kind of those people that are they're there until they want to go. That city loves them like no other. And I don't think the owners could do it. I think they'd be afraid of the backlash. The next Cowboys head coach is going to be a man from East Carolina, and that's Lincoln Riley. I guarantee you, Lincoln Riley was built to be the Cowboys' next head coach, and Jerry Jones loves him. It's set up perfect for him. Now, he needed to win and have a better showing than that last game, but this is all set up for Lincoln Riley to head to Dallas 100%. That's who I think's going. If you guys disagree or actually here while we're waiting for Mr. Newman, someone's welcome to call in and talk any football with me, Cowboys coaching, Patriots, anything you do want. But I do think Lincoln Riley ends up becoming the next coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I don't see any way around it. I just think that's about it. So before we wrap everything up, guys, it looks like Mr. Newman was cut off. We'll take one more look at this week's schedule. As you see right here, next week we have on Saturday, we've got San Francisco and Minnesota. And then we've also got Tennessee and Baltimore. And then on Sunday, we've got Seattle and Green Bay and KC and Houston. So what's that, Scott? So he would stay in the division. I don't think he'd stay in the division. I don't think he'd want to go to Carolina. I just don't see it happening personally. But, guys, it was an incredibly good wild card weekend. Some absolutely insane games. Next week looks absolutely phenomenal. It's been a wonderful year of football so far. And, the rest of the playoffs, they look like they're going to be just as good. There's so many good matchups right here. I think I think the Minnesota-San Francisco game matches up so much better than the line's going to be. The Seattle-Green Bay game, I think, is going to be a defensive matchup. Might be a little boring, but even over on the AFC, I don't think it's as guaranteed to be a Mahomes and Watson final as we think. But guys, we're gearing up after an amazing first week of the playoffs. We're looking at an awesome one coming up. So once again, guys, thank you so much for joining the show. And for John, that obviously is having some internet issues, I'm sure he'd wish you guys the best as well. And we will see you on Thursday for the Picks and Preview show. And please stay tuned because, like I said, guys, we're be doing our playoff giveaway. So on Thursday, we're going to be offering up the next prize on how you can get in. If you haven't followed yet, all you have to do is go to the YouTube channel, Hobby Roundup. Just search at Hobby Roundup on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, and you're entered to win. On Thursday, we'll give you guys the second amount of prizes and the second things that are added to it, and another chance for you to enter to win, so you can have a couple entries. We'll keep going till the Super Bowl, and then we'll get it out to you. So once again, thank you for joining, guys, and we look forward to talking to you Thursday for our Picks and Preview show. Peace.